All right, now we're going to explore some ways to grow your group. What are some keys and some techniques to expand or multiply the amount of people that come to your group? Well, a lot of this is going to lie on the group leader. You do want people to invite others, but I think specifically the group leader has a lot of homework and a lot of things that he can work out. So here's some keys for a good leader. Number one, stay close to God. You have to stay in the Word. Find ways to be engaged, whether you're discussing different things with the brethren, whether you're attending some kind of preaching seminar or school. As a leader, it's so important to stay founded in the Word and keep close to God. I know personally for me on my phone, I have an app that will read the Bible. And I'll listen to this as I'm walking or as I'm traveling somewhere, while I'm eating something or before I go to bed. And it just helps me kind of mull over some of the passages that I'm going through daily. As a leader, you want to pray, and not just a general prayer, but think about praying specifically for each member of your group. I think that will benefit your outlook on the group and also each member. You want to be consistent and meaningful. This is something that is tough to do, but it takes that vision and that excitement and that passion, not just to be excited for the first couple months, but to be consistent throughout the year and be founded as a good leader. You want to be fired up about this group. You want to show your excitement. You want to express it. So find ways that you can just really start to project that excitement to the group by communicating with them or during the actual meeting. Of course, recruit every Sunday, right? Sunday morning during Sunday services is a great time to start shaking people's hands, looking them in the eye and say, I really need you to come to our group. I think that you are so valuable and we would really appreciate you coming, and I think you would also enjoy it as well. And you also want to have what I call a 30-30 plan. And this is 30 minutes of contacting your group members one by one during the week. So maybe on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you say, you text some of your members and say, hey, we're looking forward to having you on Sunday evening or Monday morning or whenever you guys meet. Will you be there? And get that dialogue and try to encourage them. If they say, hey, I can't meet for such a reason, try to get them to come the following week, because that commitment is important. The second part of the 30-30 plan is to have a lesson prepared and use 30 minutes to do it. Now, you don't have to go into this long lesson plan and preach a whole sermon. Remember, a lot of the good leaders are those that just ask questions and kind of focus the group on what the discussion needs to be. So if you can kind of write a list of different discussion questions, remember you can use the Serendipity Bible to get that open, dig, reflect template and just mull over that a little bit. Try to think of your own questions, things that are applicable for the week or for your group. Just 30 minutes is all you need. And if you do this 30-30 plan, you will be an above average group leader. There's this key concept about net fishing I want to talk about. In the Bible, there's a story of Peter going out to fish. And Jesus tells Peter to throw the net to the other side of the boat because they had no success fishing that day. And Peter said, we've been out here all day and I haven't caught anything, but because you said so, Lord, I will do it. So they take their nets and they throw it on the other side of the boat. And they caught so much that their nets broke. And Peter says to the Lord to go away because I am sinful. And Jesus says, don't be afraid, because now I'm going to be teaching you how to be fishers of men. And I love this concept of net fishing. And what I want to do is compare an angular fisherman to a net fisherman. So what are some differences that we can see? Well, an angler fisherman is going to fish alone. He's going to bring his rod and reel, and he's going to fish out in the ocean and try to catch something on his own. However, net fishing, you need a lot of people to work together. It's a group effort to bring in as many fish as possible. I like this example because, the harvest, right? Not everyone is going to be planting seed and harvesting. Some will plant, others will water, and others will harvest. So this idea of group net fishing is so important because you need many people to accomplish that soul saving mission that we have for the church. Angler fishermen will use a gimmick or a lure or a hook and a worm, something to try to draw a fish to his hook, right? However, in net fishing, you just lay out the net and all the fish will swim into it. An angler fisherman will fish for sport. However, a net fisherman will actually fish for a living. This isn't something he just does on the weekends. This is something that he does to survive and to provide for his family. An angler fisherman just does everything himself. He does the baiting, he does the fishing, he does the reeling, right? The whole process is just him. However, with the net fisherman, it's a team effort, right? You have everybody cast the net, everybody brings it in, and it's so much easier to evangelize that way. Can you imagine if you are the only person in your congregation who evangelizes? That's such a heavy burden to bear. But with net fishing, many people can go and fish and bring in as many fish as possible. And then lastly, an angler fisherman will be very picky in what he fishes for. He can only fish for one type of species, perhaps. Yet a net fisherman does not care what species. He sends out the net and he gathers all the fish that are drawn into the net. And this idea I think is important because as Christians we're called to evangelize to all sinners, not just a select few. So this idea of angler fishing and net fishing, I like that net fishing is a lot more inclusive and it's more designed of what a small group is trying to do. It's a team effort. You want to save many people for the sake of Christ. The key idea is to multiply. You want to split your group into multiple groups and grow that way. Remember, you don't want too many people into a small group. It then becomes a small congregation than a small group. You want that small group so that people will be open and be able to keep it manageable. Now let's talk about how to grow your group. From the very beginning, you need to share that the purpose of the small group is to grow. The purpose is to split into more groups, and then the next year you've got more small groups and more small groups so that you can grow your congregation this way. Now that you know what the goal is, try to explain it to your members. This is something that everybody should know about. The vision of the church has to be to reach out to the community to grow the church as a whole. Don't forget about the empty chair. Pray over the empty chair, and it's a great reminder through the week that there are people we need to reach. Encourage the idea of net fishing because this will encourage everybody to be involved instead of that angler fisherman that's just by himself evangelizing. It's a group effort. Keep a list of the people that you're working on to try to come to the small group. You can pray over the list. You can bring the list in front of the members of the group and have them encourage. You can keep a list on a wall or a piece of paper and just show other people, hey, these are the members we're trying to get to come next week. And then when you start getting to 14, 15 people, start preparing people to split. If people are prepared, they're less likely to be upset. And this is important. Make sure that you prepare another leader for that next group. This is someone that you could introduce as a co-leader who will teach the group several times. And once they kind of get their game going and they can kind of figure out, then they'll be able to start their group on their own without having to experience everything from scratch. So if you're going to split into two groups, start to work on a co-leader earlier than later. You're going to want to announce to the congregation that you're growing and this is a direction you're going to. And then when you do split, don't make it this sad event where you can't see each other anymore. Do try to get together maybe once or twice a month as two groups. And you can encourage each other as two groups so you can see each other. So it's not you never get to see each other again. you can always come together and meet at different parts of the year to encourage the whole group together. And then, of course, after the groups are split, start all over and just let God work. This is something that is a long-term goal, right? But we have the vision now. We now know the keys and the steps to make this work. Once you split those groups, then now you can start working on those two groups to split again and grow God's church. And of course, the key factor in all of this is leadership. You have to have good leadership to have a successful small group or life group program. Without good leadership, a small group will die. And it's important that when you train a leader to lead a small group, that they have the proper amount of training, that they're prepared, that they have the vision, and you can follow up with them as well to ensure that they're doing all they can to grow and multiply their own group. You don't want to just send somebody who may be unprepared to lead a small group in hopes that it does well, and then you find out it doesn't. So some training, watch these videos, ensure that they don't have any questions, maybe do some dry runs or some practices, and make sure that that leader knows what they're doing, is excited, enthused, has that vision, and send them to do God's work. The leader doesn't have to be perfect, and that's the beauty in this. The leader can be someone who's still growing in their spirituality and is not just someone that's just made it to the top and is just ready to has all the answers. A leader can be someone who's been trained but may still have some struggles of their own, and that's fine. You don't need a flawless person. You just need a motivated person that has the skills and training that they need. So this is maybe some videos that you can review every year and encourage the new leaders so that they are a little bit more prepared than if they had no training. So that wraps up the main points that I've had for this discussion of how to have good leadership, how to multiply your church and your small groups and your life groups for the years to come. I hope this ministry is something that your congregation will strive to implement, that it encourages you guys as much as I've been encouraged in the congregations that I've been involved in. I hope it's a ministry that opens up doors for your congregation, that they can meet people in ways that you may have not have thought of before. And please give me feedback as well. We're all trying to learn here. And if you have things that worked that weren't in this video series, let me know. If there are things that did work that you want to encourage other churches, both in the Philippines and worldwide, let me know. These are something that you can post in the comments, but I think it's going to benefit a lot more people if you try to implement this and you can learn from it and discuss the positives and negatives of what worked well in your congregation. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Thank you for watching these videos. And I know that as long as you're pursuing what God wants for your congregation, that He is going to bless y'all's ministry and you're going to find your church growing sooner than later. God bless you in your ministry, and as you try to do these small groups in your congregation, I pray that God's providence will be over you and that you will maintain the vision and passion to do so successfully. Thanks again for watching, and God bless.
The Lord is praying for His church that they all be one. He prayed in the garden for His disciples.